What's good? What's good? I'm back. Yours truly, one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast. Your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. Today I'm going to react to a clip from the interview with Method Man and Math Hoffa on the Expert Opinion podcast, which is probably the best hip hop podcast on the planet, in my opinion. And before we do that, I want to give you a word from Dizzle. We got the new Dizzle brand shirt right here, the white with the blue, because we got the new Dizzle brand blue label. So this is like the Dodger colors. Definitely love this shirt. Not a Dodgers fan, but I definitely love it. Have to go get me a Dodgers hat now to match it and whatnot. But shouts out to Chris Roker, Olivia Harris, and the creator of Dizzle, Mike Dizzle. Let's get into a Dizzle brand premium luxury liqueur advertisement here. Here we go.
That slap, that it is that one. Let's go. Everybody talking about on it like that's that turn, that lit, that slap, that that one, that go. Everybody talking about Dizzle new song.
I got GS jumping on a Tuesday. Dizzle drunk gang deeper than the Wu-Tang. If you love it, then you better cuff your drink.
Dizzle, Dizzle, ready to see that. Ready to Dizzle, Dizzle, ready to see that. Dizzle, Dizzle, on the sit, ready to sit, dripping my lip, Dizzle, my Dizzle, I'm ready to sit, I'm ready to Dizzle, Dizzle, on the sit, ready to sit, I need more than a drip. I'm ready to sit, I'm ready to sit, I need more than a drip. Dizzle, 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 Dizzle.
That's right, Dizzle. Check them out, dizzlebrand.com. Dizzle is a premium luxury liqueur mixed with agave tequila, cognac, and orange liquor mango mix. Just throw your Dizzle on ice, and it's nice. If you want to order your very own bottle or bottles, go to dizzlebrand.com. Click on the front page where it says order online, or you can go to our locations and click on one of the top 3 website links. I recommend Emilio's Beverage. You must be 21 and over. Shipping and handling is included. Below that is actual store locations in California, Oklahoma, Kansas, and the number 1 selling state for Dizzle, Arkansas, and the Dizzle brand merch as well. The t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Go to dizzlebrand.com, click on merchandise store, and also you can go to etsy.com. That's etsy.com. Excuse me, I had a burp there. Drinking this Sunkiss, and no, I'm not drinking Dizzle right now, not this early in the morning. But yeah, check them out. Dizzlebrand.com for the merchandise, Etsy.com for the merchandise. Search for Dizzle brand, and the Dizzle brand gummies as well are now available at dizzlenova.com. And I repeat, the Dizzle brand gummies now available at dizzlenova.com. Link will be in the description. Definitely got to go get me a Dodgers hat to match this Dizzle shirt later today if I can. Let's get into it. Method Man talking about the title is Melly Mel has shit on rappers after him, old rappers, haters, and why. Let's get into it.
Infamous. Saying why aren't in every other genre of music, their older artists are revered.
We talked.
Said
We
they
talked
were
about
will.
this.
Y'all talked about that.
Yeah.
How they'll wheel them out on stage in a fucking on their deathbed, and the crowd will still give it up.
Talk about this all the time. I've talked about this with many people in the Ville. You know, there's definitely a disconnect, and they're about to try to get into it.
Up and all that shit, and he said,
with the IV in their arm, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Why doesn't hip hop revere
Because it's
their
not
OG?
profitable. Go ahead.
Can I
Let's
hear
this. This is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna jump in right after.
I want to double down on that and be like, there's a hip hop Hall of Fame, but doesn't your status matter until you are inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
All right. As far as
that's an interesting one. You know, I guess being a hip hop star is not on the same level as being a rock star or a pop star. You know, that is an interesting one. Why is it till you get in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame and not until you get inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are you really revered as that rock status? I guess, you know, rock stars, I just remember like a time when people considered rock stars gods. They were looked at like gods. So I've never revered hip hop artists as gods. As much as I love hip hop music, I never revered them as gods. But rock stars, for some reason, were revered as gods.
why aren't the older artists revered? I think that's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of opinion because there's a lot of people, especially shout out to everybody that subscribe. Shout out to all.
Before he finishes, I can agree with that. I mean, there is some people that do revere old schoolers super heavy. I mean, I know people, like, not saying no names, but no old schooler can do any wrong to them. You know, no, like they could do no wrong to them. You know, and it's like, okay, everybody, like, nobody's right all the time. You know, everybody's got to be wrong sometime.
All the people watching right now, a lot of these guys, like the demographic of this show is like 24 to 55.
Nice.
Leveled.
Nice. That's nice.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the 24-year-olds, they're watching and they're seeing people like yourself, and they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that went down. I know that went down."
Oh, that nigga pocket check.
Right. They probably weren't saying that.
Facts, Lord.
And then there's the other guys that's still watching. I think it's more of hip hop is young.
There you go.
We haven't gotten to the point where
hip hop just hit 50 years old. I'm 44. I was 6 years old when hip hop, you know, hip hop was 6 years old. 6 years old when I was born, you know, which was 1979, April 9th, 1979. 6-something PM time, I think, and whatnot. So yeah, man, hip hop is only 6 years older than me. The whole genre.
Jay-Z hasn't spit in a verse at 60 yet. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
no, there ain't enough Jay-Z spitting verses at 60.
Right.
See, I like where you went there and shit. For me, it's they don't know, like, it's hard.
I gotta stop again. I always be like asking myself, like, what's the excuse that old school artists can give me nowadays that are not recording at least a new single every 3 or 4 months or dropping a EP once a year? You know, like, what's the excuse? There's no excuse you could give me. When DLC, who loses his voice, drops a whole album, and it didn't sound that great. It didn't sound that great because of his voice, but no excuses, man. It was no excuses, you know. What excuse did these old schoolers got where they're not constantly still making music? They're not making new music to stay more relevant. They just shut it down. They stopped making music and they want to be revered. I mean, what did he just say? He said, "We haven't heard Jay-Z yet hitting a rhyme, spitting a rhyme at 60. Eminem rhyming at 60. We haven't heard that yet." You know, Karis One at 60, Rakim at 60. You know, a lot of these cats, they've shut it down already. You're not gonna hear them spitting rhymes at 60 no more. And a lot of them ain't sounding good at 60 either because they stopped rhyming. They just completely stopped recording new music. They're just touring all their old stuff over and over and over and over and over again. And after a while, you can only take but so much of, you know, the same music over and over and over and over again when there's 100,000 songs being uploaded every single day.
I'll give you an example. And I'm not saying this is me, but I'm pretty sure this has happened. There have been episodes where you can be an artist at a label, an up-and-coming label or a label that's already popping or whatever and shit.
Right.
But you create a lane at this label now that blows up. They make millions, you make millions, whatever. 5, 6 years from that, y'all part ways.
Right.
A new guy comes in.
Right.
Right? Now, when you got your deal, let's say it was for 6 figures, this guy comes in and gets 7 to 8 figures. Right? But remember, the path you laid, that new path, opened up a whole new lane of money for this label.
Right.
Which opened up a new lane for artists on this wave to pass through. Now, 6 years have passed, you're not on the label anymore, this new guy gets signed. 2 more years after that, you run, the guy blowing up, he blows up. You run into him, right? And they don't even acknowledge you. Kind of thing.
Has that happened to you?
No, it hasn't happened to me. But I'm pretty sure this has happened. And it's not a conscious thing. As far as the newer artist goes.
I think Mecca he stated many times that it's been preached to these new artists that the old heads are haters.
I get that. And you know it's warranted though. Like I said before, it's warranted because when this new wave of music was coming through and there was these cadences weren't what we were used to.
Right.
And we're coming off of Eminem high, we coming off Jay making some of the best fucking music he had ever made in his whole fucking career.
Right.
And it was lyricism. Then the battle rap shit was bop, bop, bop.
Bop, bop. Right.
And then you coming in and these dudes it's a vibe now. I didn't understand it at first when my kids was trying to put me on to the shit, but I understand it now. And it's like, I think about this, and when I was younger, yeah, we had Big Daddy Kane and all them niggas, but you know which party was rocking the most? The ones that was playing the reggae, the dance hall, the rockers.
Right.
That's what we used to call it and shit. And it got to the point where I didn't want to hear hip hop in the club. These kids are in the club, so for them, it's like, if you're not doing this, we don't want to hear that shit. And on top of that, you motherfuckers are saying, we not hip hop. We came from y'all. Now, if it was respect on both sides, because there have been artists that came.
I'm guilty of that, man. I'm so guilty of that. I say a lot of the stuff ain't hip hop, like this trap rap and sad rap and whatever it is. To me, it's more subgenres of rap music, because that's the thing. It's like you got hip hop / rap. You know, like I think, like, you know, rap is the most common element all throughout the hip hop. But when you get into like breaking, graffiti, DJing, MCing, and things of that nature, all those elements are gone. Now, I get what he's saying. Like, they're more into music that's just gonna make you dance because they're in the clubs, you know. And to me, it seems like, when they say things come back around, I just feel like it's got to the point where it's gotten basic again, like the 80s. I almost feel like we're back in the 80s again. It's just so much more basic. All the music is about just dancing when it was about MCing, breaking, graffiti. It wasn't about just MCing. It was about MCing and breaking. So it was about rapping and dancing. And I think we're just back at that full circle again, but the sound is just trap, 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 trap. So people, they don't like it. They won't support it. They hate it. But just because you dislike an artist doesn't mean there isn't something you can find about them that you do respect. And that's how I'm with NBA Youngboy. I don't like none of his music, but when I reach as far as artists that get respect, NBA Youngboy is like damn near at the top of the list right now for artists that get my respect, even though I don't like his music. But these old schoolers, we and I've been guilty of this. They're just, we shit talk their music, we call it trash, we call it garbage, and we expect them to just revere the people that came before them, the people that paved the way. I mean, you can't shit talk somebody and expect them to revere you afterwards.
In the beginning, Melly Mel, people that it, but Melly Mel in particular, Melly Mel has shit on hip hop after him. Like he shit on a lot of people that came after him. And there are a lot of people like myself who are fans, who have been fans, who are still fans of Melly Mel. And to this day, when I see Melly Mel, I speak to him, but Melly Mel was rotten.
Yeah.
There was an episode where he just passed me by and my hand was out and all that shit. And
And it's because Melly Mel feels entitled to something. Every person that starts something, that invents something, typically feels entitled to something, but they don't understand evolution. They don't understand everything has to evolve. Everything has to start from scratch. Started from the bottom, now I'm here. Everything's got to the NBA at first, what they're explaining is kind of how the NBA works. You need a cats like Dr. J to come in and take the NBA to another realm. Then you need a Magic and Bird. Then you need a Jordan to just grab the baton and just take it to a whole nother heights. And Jordan was never the highest paid player in the league until it was like last 2 years. And now these guys are making you got Jaylen Brown making 60-something million a year and ain't nowhere near as great as a Michael Jordan, who only made $25 million a year, I think, his last 2 seasons. That's the thing. Everything has to grow, build revenue, get bigger. When Melly Mel came out, there wasn't a lot of money in hip hop yet. White fan base wasn't super heavy yet. It probably didn't come in until they did Aerosmith and Run DMC. Now you go to these hip hop shows, especially these pure hip hop shows, like a Wu-Tang or a Nas. Man, there's more white fan base than anything. So many white people love hip hop now. It's just ridiculous. Asians, Hispanics, blacks, all across the globe. Germans, they freaking love hip hop, So, yeah, all this stuff had to grow. And now these cats are making more money than ever. They're capitalizing more than ever because, people done seen all the mistakes that people could possibly make in the music industry and learn from them. By now. It's just these new cats coming into business, they're learning the business a lot quicker and a lot faster because this business has changed. It ain't about street teams and radio when you work records. It's about the internet. If they learn the internet, they can learn this business a lot quicker.
don't know if it was consciously done or if it was just done on some malice shit.
Right.
Either way, it was like, I watch interviews and things of that, and Mel talk real fucking reckless, and it's like, yo, Mel, there are people, some of these people that you talking about fucking love you, man. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. If anything, show them. If you the best, show them.
Show it.
Period. I don't give a fuck if nobody listening. You out there fucking doing the shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And when it gets to those blocks right there, and then they have day crews and, you know, certain people that work at labels that's big in them up, and
but those blocks for them are necessary because the OGs will probably put them on to business things that they should be doing.
Why.
That's not happening.
But I get that. I understand that part.
All right.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Problem with that is these new cats, they can break themselves a lot better than old school cats could. They can break themselves better nowadays. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram influencers, Facebook, Twitter. There's just so many platforms now. You know, back then it was just street teams and radio. And radio, we know that's program directors. You know, everybody's not just getting massive radio spins unless there's payola or unless you're on a specific label that, you know, can get specific favors.
Yeah, we're talking about the younger generation reaching back to the older generation saying, let's just do a record together. And the people who are in the middle right here, like, nah.
There's a reason for that.
And it's not even just that, though. After the old generation done shit talked them for so fucking long enough. You shit talk them for over a year. That's too much. But they've been shit talking them for years. The music's trash. Y'all ain't saying nothing. This mumble rap bullshit. Da 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 da. You know, I've done songs. I've done a song with an old schooler where they, you know, said they basically was trashing new school artists on the song, calling it all the shit I called it. I've dealt with a lot of old schools, and I know the terminologies they use. You know, they hate this music, but you can't constantly tell people to their face you hate them and expect them to revere you and adore you and look up to you and respect you and reach out to you. It's such a delusional ask right now, man. Whether it was intentional or not, man, this shit talking, you know, this is how I look at it. It's like when Democrats got out, a lot of Democrats got out and called every person who voted for Trump a white racist supremacist, a white supremacy racist. You can't walk that back now. You done, it's out there. And people done heard that. And now when you try to come and talk to them, they're going to tell you to go fuck yourself. You know, they're going to want to hear what you got to say. There's not going to be any kind of respect after that. Especially when you never even met these, you know, like these old schoolers haven't even met some of these rappers personally to go ahead and just shit talk and trash their music publicly. You know, but I think J. Cole is a cat that tries to bridge the gap with the 21 Savages and things like that nature. But the bridge has been burnt at this point.
That's intentional. That's not by mistake. That's intentional.
Honestly, like just why would Floyd Mayweather fight somebody that's had 10 fights? It wouldn't
make sense.
It wouldn't make sense for Floyd to do that shit. Or a fighter that's coming up in the ranks. People like him, but he hasn't proven himself.
There's a difference between fighting them and sparring with them to make them better. I can spar with you on a single and make you better. I can sit in on your studio session and make you better. Fighting you is me dropping my album the same day as yours and wiping you off the map.
That's crazy.
That's a fight.
This is the problem I have when people say things like this. Sitting in the studio and I can make you better. You know, it just makes me think of when people like talk about, you know, prisoner reform, not police reform or prison reform, but reforming the actual prisoners. Does the prisoner want to be reformed? Does the artist want you to make them better? Do they care about being better? Do they care about spitting bars? Do they care about rapping over certain sounds? You know, it's like we want to force some shit that can't be forced. It has to be organic.
Nobody's asking for a fight. What I think a lot of people don't see is I think the idea of the separation, people think that that's by mistake or that just kind of happened. I look at it as way more insidious. I think it's absolutely intentional, because if the young artist
Absolutely intentional,
gets
yes.
next to you and you get to sit there and tell him all the shit you went through with Def Jam, and get to tell him all the ways your contract might have been fucked up, and all the ins and outs of the publishing world, and you start telling that dude who's generating somewhere in between $6 to $8 million every couple of months for this label, you start telling him what he's worth, he's gonna turn around and look at the label and say, wait a minute, you motherfuckers is playing me this whole fucking time.
But you're not doing.
I totally disagree with that premise. Just because of the SDG interview, the way he walked out. These motherfuckers don't care about nothing but the money no more. They're like the modern day NBA players. They don't really love making music. They don't really care about hip hop or love hip hop. They just love the fame and the money. That's it, man. They're like the modern day NBA players, man. I just think that's like if cats from my era see Method Man, yeah, but this new era, like they're not all just like, oh my gosh, it's a man. I wonder what's in things of that nature. No, it's just like when dudes trying to ask them questions. You could just tell, like, I don't give a shit about this bullshit ass question that has substance. I don't care about this question of content. Like if it ain't about some of the simple-minded, ignorant bullshit that I rap about, I don't really care about it. And he literally walked out in the middle of the question, didn't say nothing, because these people they think that shit's beneath them. These interviews. It's like Machine Gun Kelly when he don't like doing interviews. I just want you to like my music. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. They just want you to buy the product and that's it, so they can just make a shit ton of money. They want you to like it just cause they say so.
That in one studio session. This is what I'm saying.
But keeping you away keeps the friendship from happening.
I understand that if you develop a friendship, because
Why
honestly,
risk it?
a lot of the newer artists, I mean, not even newer artists. There's people I've done records with, right? And now you don't even have to be in the studio with a motherfucker and shit. But I respect them enough that I'm gonna jump on their shit with them and shit. And you take. Damn, I forgot my point. That's trees.
Labels, blocks.
I do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, what big thing is he said is if you build a friendship, and that's the thing. These guys don't have no intentions of really building friendships with old school rappers, and old school rappers, a lot of them don't really have intentions of building friendships with these new school rappers. They just want to shit talk their music.
Labels,
blocking between the young dudes and the older generation.
Nah, that wasn't the point I was gonna make. Fuck, I hate when I do that shit. That's what 51 is like, kids.
Stop.
I did that shit in the bomb shelter interview. I had a question on my mind I was gonna ask her. We was talking and I totally forgot and shit. And I had to come up with it.
Fuck. But anyway, I mean, I get that people, or there's a way to think that, not conspiracy, intentional, absolutely. But it discourages from, there could be some incredible fucking music made if some of these newer cats would step outside their comfort zones and fuck with some of the music maybe that their grandparents fuck.
And what is he saying right there? Think about what he just said. There can be some incredible music. He's saying it himself, man. The music nowadays, it's not great, man. It's not good. It's not even really okay, man. It's so basic. It's so subpar. It's so easy to do. It's so repetitive. It doesn't stand. None of these artists stand out. None of them really stand out. Kendrick, Cole, Drake, that's it. You know, some underground cats. But when you get to the mainstream, none of them stand out or stand apart from each other because they all rap over the same sounding beats all the time. At least in the 90s, if cats use the same drum tracks, the sounds around the drum tracks would be different. Like Wu-Tang would be different than Mobb Deep, you know, and MOP and like everybody's sound was different, you know, and dudes would come in with their own sounds and creating their own sounds, you know, and they didn't use all the same drum tracks all the time. They didn't use it, you know, like this stuff is just so basic, man. I swear every beat sound like you got that like what the
With. Like we did. Because
But,
honestly, we
here it
use
is. They
music.
do. They do.
I hear it now. I heard that Lotto joint. I heard the joint with Megan Thee Stallion.
Right.
That's the Jodeci joint.
All throwback joints. A bunch of
It's a lot of
throwbacks.
that, and the drill music is definitely doing
Yeah,
it because
all
they remake.
Yeah.
You
every
answered your
motherfucking
question with the one word. You said it would be incredible music to be made. If I'm the label, my interest isn't making music, it's making money.
Absolutely.
I get to keep the money doing it the way that I'm.
that's the problem. Right there. Like you got two kind of artists still in this world. You got ones that really love the music. They just love to make music. It's a passionate thing for them. And they want to be successful at it if they can. But then you got the people that just in it for the money, man. In it for the fame. You know, and yeah, there are people sampling a lot of more old school stuff now and whatnot. Definitely is. But he hit on the money. Like labels are just want to make money, you know. They're not artists. Unless you're an artist running a label, then you might. But most of these people, like Jimmy Iovine, for example, Jimmy Iovine was never an artist. He was just a guy that records music. Recording music and making music are two different things. Anybody can record music and get paid for it and not like the music that they're recording. I would argue studios nowadays probably don't like none of the music they're recording nowadays. Studios just want to get paid for the recordings. Studios are like record labels. They could care less what your song sounds like, if it's going to become a hit or whatever. They just want their $80 to $100 an hour, especially since the quality is not that great anyways nowadays. Nobody's making a lot of incredible music. See, that's the key word a Method Man used, incredible. There's not a lot of incredible music being made nowadays. That's why I got to go back and listen to things like Robin Thicke, Magic, you know, like incredible music. Like the closest thing to incredible music recently was Soul Sonic, Bruno Mars, and Anderson .Paak, you know. Or I might go to listen to some John Newman, you know, some incredible sounding music, some Oliver Anthony, just something that just sounds incredible. You know, you could just hear the passion in their voice, you know. And if you really want to hear really incredible music nowadays, you got to go to singers. You can't go to rappers nowadays. You got to go to singers.
Doing it. I get a new dude who I can bring in, cash out, burn him out, get him out of here, replace him because he's that easy to replace. Finding another Method Man gonna be hard as fuck.
Once you pass in the music, you have nothing to barter with until your audience comes.
Say it again.
Once you pass into music, you have nothing to barter with until your audience comes.
So if I,
And that's the problem with a lot of old schoolers. And why is that? They're not continuously making music. You could be you should be able to make music to the day you die. You don't. That's the thing. People could invest into a home studio, um, like, and if you gotta only record if you're gonna only record one single every 3 months, I mean, if you can't record one studio session every 3 or 4 months as an old school rapper, I mean, shit, are you even working a fucking 9 to 5? Are you even getting any tour dates? Yeah, there's a total disconnect. Ed Lover said he blames the old schoolers, and I do too. I do too. They gotta throw out an olive branch at this point. You can't just shit talk motherfuckers out the gate and expect them to show to cling on to words like respect, revere, adore, look up to, admire. You can't expect the people to cling on to words like that when you just been shit talking them since they've came into the business. And rappers have always been a competition. It's always been a thing of shit talking rappers that you feel you're better than. And Melly Mel ain't better than a lot of rappers, so he need to shut up and sit the fuck down. And all he does is make matters worse because all they're gonna be like another fucking old head talking shit over and over and over and over again. And I think the bridge is just completely burnt. But Method Man sounds like a cat that is willing to sit down and have civil discourse. He sounds very conservative in his, you know, speaking there. Like he would like to see the new school and the old school come together. Like you don't want to just shit talk the artists and call their music trash. He just wants to help them to make incredible music, to make better music without, putting them down and shit talking them and things of that nature. But this is always an interesting conversation and debate is the disconnect in hip hop, even like basketball players, even though the old school basketball players call a lot of these cats soft nowadays. There's cats like Kobe would call all these cats soft nowadays, and a lot of these cats still look up to Kobe. So once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in, Paul Pickett Podcast, and I'm out.